Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Ray Candy, and with me today is Kent.
Hey.
Courtney.
Hello.
Matt.
Hello.
Adam.
Hi there.
And Rob.
Hello, everybody.
And today, Rob's going to have friends in chat because he's never had friends in chat before.
Never.
We can't confirm really any of friends for Rob.
First of all, everybody in chat is my friend, and I appreciate everybody.
And also, if you stay in chat long enough, you end up actually on the podcast. That's what we've learned.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true. I can confirm.
Yeah. Good time.
We're like the blob. It's like it just eventually it just grows.
You'll be assimilated.
Yeah, you'll be rolled over.
Well, Samantha's already in the chat, and she knows what's coming, and what she did was absolutely terrible, and we'll talk about it.
Super pumped.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to talk about some news stuff. We're going to talk about the games we've been playing, and then we're going to talk about, I guess, mistakes noobs to board games make, or new gamers make. Noob might be too derogatory, I don't know. But yeah.
I think it's all on how serious you take yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if we're here, we're obviously not too crazy serious. We're just going to have fun with it. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and jump into some of the news stuff going on. But I did want to say, how's everybody doing tonight?
You're doing good. It's good to be back.
Good, yeah.
Yeah. Missed last week, but happy to be here.
Yeah, we've been mixing up the schedule a little bit. Life stuff going on, crazy stuff going on. But hey, it's awesome to be back and doing some stuff. And we definitely have a lot
face,
of...
Roy?
Yay! Was I on the last episode before this, or was... It's been a minute, right?
Yes, I believe
Because y'all did
so.
one
You
without
were.
me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did. It wasn't the same.
No, we missed you.
Yeah.
I remember listening in, and like the level of excitement Kent got to was
It was like 11.
negative 11. I was just like, oh
Broken.
wow.
It's Kent Parker 11 there.
Yeah, he was shouting the whole time.
That's a lot of
After the show,
excitement for him.
I was like, Kent,
It was
calm
a lot.
down, calm
It was a
down.
lot.
You're gonna
I
break
spent,
your
like,
microphone. Calm down.
I spent 10 minutes before that show muted, thinking that I was talking to people and like trying to be like, like reassuring or answering questions and stuff. And I'm just like,
Yep, it was great.
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, cool. All right. Well, good.
That's awesome. Well, we can jump into the news. The first thing we have is 2 new sets for Unmatched have been announced. I don't know how much you guys have seen about this.
Yeah.
I love Unmatched. They have
I haven't
another
played any
Marvel
of it.
set coming out, which is Brain and Bronze, which is She-Hulk, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange, which I personally think is going to be like their best-selling Marvel set that they've had so far.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Because like Spider-Man
Spider-Man's
and Doctor
huge.
Strange are huge, and She-Hulk just had like a mini-series, and like that's going to be like a huge hitter for them. Because the other ones they had that were Marvel before were like Daredevil and Squirrel Girl and Miss Marvel and stuff. Like this is going to be way bigger, I think.
There were definitely like a few solid heroes and maybe one of the 3 in the previous packs, but this is like, great. All 3 are pretty solid.
And one of the cool things they do with the Marvel stuff is they also have like extra tokens on the board that you can kind of pick up and get like different abilities. And it's cool that each one of these Marvel set you get is going to come with like different tokens and just different characters to play with. And when you have them all, you're going to be able to mix and match all that stuff. So have you played Unmatched, Rob?
I have not. I was about to say, if somebody could bring it when we get together or something like that.
We'll bring it and we can play.
I think you would like it.
It's good. Yeah, we'll
It
play
does
it.
looks good. It looks good. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I don't even own any of the Unmatched, but I constantly see you post about it, and I'll see Kent, Courtney. They posted in the past, and some other people that I follow, and so it's always something that's been on my radar, but nobody will play with me.
I can't think of any reason that you wouldn't enjoy Unmatched. Like
No,
it
it's
seems like
it's a
it'd be
very
right up your
Rob.
alley.
Yeah, it's a Rob game. You'll be buying
must
it
be
after
perfect.
Kevin come.
Okay.
And then they
I'll
also
try.
have Sun's Origin, which has 2 different characters from, I guess, Japanese history. I know they had like consultants and stuff like that talk about this. They have a daimyo and they're from feudal Japan. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to mess up any.
Yeah, the
and
names
stuff
are on the
like
bottom
this.
of the box if you want to read the names. They I think this is one of the they haven't done many historical figures which is
Right.
kind of cool how they're doing how they're trying this out.
They've done a
They've
lot
got
of
a lot to
literature
work with.
stuff before, right? But
True,
not
yeah,
historical
yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
I think
So I
this
think
is
it's neat.
I think this is dope. I love feudal Japan stuff. Like I love like samurai movies and all that kind
yeah.
of thing. So this is like I'm actually super stoked on both of these.
I know
For
the
me,
crazy
the
thing
Sun's
is,
origin actually looks more appealing.
I love Marvel stuff, but I don't actually own personally any of the Unmatched like Marvel stuff. Like I've played it all because of work, but I don't actually own it personally. I just own a bunch of like the different like mix-match stuff, like the Legends stuff and all of the Cobble and Fog stuff. So the Sun's origin stuff might fit better into the stuff that I have, because I almost feel like if I was gonna have the Marvel Unmatched stuff, I would just keep that separate. But for some reason,
you
I
not mix
enjoy
and
the
match?
No,
other.
you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
You don't think
I'm gonna-
Doctor Strange versus Mothman would be a super interesting?
Oh, I'm definitely gonna do that, which we'll talk about later. 'Cause
I'm
I
gonna
did,
use-
I did face off against Mothman.
I'm gonna have Spider-Man fight the Raptors and the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
do that T-Rex, man. It is not a joke. It's not even close to a joke.
Yeah, that's a legit character.
The T-Rex was
You
one
guys
that
think
like
stuff like that
everybody
makes-
in the office is like, you can't beat the T-Rex, you can't beat the T-Rex, and I'm like, bet. So I played against Z, and I had to be extremely careful playing and like really like smart about everything I did. But I did beat the T-Rex. So
Nice.
You say clever girl
Nice.
at the end of it?
no, that's the Raptors.
That's the InGen Raptors. Who did you beat the T-Rex with? I think
The
is
character that
question.
came in the box, whoever the scientist
Dr.
lady.
Sadler.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's
you
like
did
putting a bunch of
Sadler?
traps down, or she do traps? What she? No, she does like science tokens or something like that, and then running away, just running
Yeah.
away constantly is what I had to do.
I think that's your best bet probably for the T-Rex, because that's what they balance it as when they designed it. So I think that's really one of the. You definitely
Regardless-
can win, but
regardless
it's
of T-Rex is
really
going to be a
hard.
long game.
Yeah.
Anyway, a match is cool. They have so many different characters, and Rob should play it.
Yeah.
All right, done. Yes, sir.
Done. The next one here, I don't know as much about. Kent, do you want to take this one away?
Yeah, sure. This one's a game called Evacuation. It's published by Delicious Games, which, if you're familiar with Delicious Games, it's the company that I believe Vladimir Suki is associated with.
Nice.
He's a designer of Underwater Cities,
Mm-hmm.
Woodcraft, Prodigals Club, Pulsar 2849. A lot of like the
really,
Euro
like,
games.
well-regarded stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty popular Euro games. And this game just looked really cool. It was announced recently. Evacuation. So you're on a planet. The planet's dying, and you have to basically get all of your whatever your economy you're using or whatever. You have to get that up and it's actually already running. You got to get moved to a new planet before everything dies. So it is a Euro game, I believe. But it's got really cool art. It looks really neat. Has a lot of cool resource management. I think some hand management kind of stuff going on. And I'm pretty much interested in anything that this designer puts out. It's all really interesting, and I feel like he does some kind of outside the box stuff with his designs. So it's one I'm definitely looking forward to. And that's
Is it on a
supposed to come out.
Kickstarter or Game Found?
It's coming out at Essen 2023 is what it's
Oh,
estimated.
Dad. That's cool.
So a little while, but yeah, it looks pretty neat. So
Yeah,
have you all
it's
played
going straight to
any of his
retail?
games?
I played
I know Roy had
Pulsar
that.
and really enjoyed it. And it's very much like a Euro like dice
Yeah.
drafting game.
It is.
But I
yeah.
played that with Trevor like forever ago. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I own Pulsar. It's got a great table presence, which is 90% of why
Yeah.
I bought it.
I just
But,
liked it because
yeah,
you're making
it's-
Dyson spheres. I'm like, this seems cool. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's neat. It's a neat game. Yeah, it's probably one of his more popular ones, I would think.
Yeah, I randomly stumbled upon this, like, because it was in the BGG top 50 for the hotness, and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, this seems great!" Like the designer got a good pedigree.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Board. If you go to BGG and look at the board, it is.
Yeah, it looks really
Right.
cool.
And then the byline for it was just disassemble the engines on your home planet and move them to a new one. And I think that sounds like a really fun concept of having a pre-built engine that you need to selectively disassemble in order to make optimal gains to move it to another planet.
that's awesome.
Seems so good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh, that board does look super. I didn't look.
It's-
I didn't look at the board. Yeah.
It's super simple and it conveys the idea really well. It's planet A, planet B, and then a little curve that you're using to travel from point A to point B. And it's great. It looks so good.
Yeah, I don't hate that board.
Yeah.
The next game here is Wild Gardens. This is designed by Isaac Vega, friend of the show. We know Isaac from back in the day. This is published by Rose Gauntlet Entertainment, his studio that him and Lindsay have put together. But yeah, this is a 1 to 4 player game. You take on the role as foragers, completing cooking delicious meals. But yeah, it seems like kind of like a set collection game for like making recipes on different things. And it's going to be on Backer Kit.
So it's already, I think it's live still, and it ends on April 19th.
Yep.
Yeah, one of the things about Isaac is like all the games that he's involved with, like the art in them have been amazing. You know,
like, well, the games are good too.
Knows how to make like a game like look amazing and look like pop. You know.
Yeah, the presentation of this game is incredible. It looks like the colors, like everything, the way it's like the components, all the art. It just looks so good. Yeah, it reminds me of like a Flamecraft style, maybe where you're collecting the resources and like fulfilling contracts and stuff. But I mean, it's different. You're making food and stuff. But it looks like a lot of fun, I think.
I'm loving this resurgence. Not necessarily resurgence, but I'm loving that we're seeing a lot more like cozy board games where it's like there's a genre of books called cozy fantasy. That's just like feel good stuff, and I really love that we're just seeing board games that are just like, yeah, it's like butterflies and rainbows and stuff. Have a good time. You don't have to. It's not always war and politics. You know,
it's so crazy to me. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to be doing my top 10 nature games next week, and I'm just like, I'm the space and fantasy guy. So tune into that list because it's gonna be wacky, and everybody's gonna give me crap, and Adam's camera hates him.
Man, my camera's trying to do weird stuff. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see how Wild Gardens goes, and definitely go check it out because I always root for Rose Gauntlet just because they're awesome people.
Yes. Yeah.
The next one here I'm extremely excited about. This is Freelancers. This is basically supposed to be another take on the sort of the same system a little bit as
Forgotten
Waters. But this is by Donald Schultz is the game designer. So Forgotten Waters was designed by Isaac Vega, which is the last designer we're talking about. But this is designed by Donald Schultz, who was part of Board with Life and puts together a lot of their voice acting for Forgotten Waters and things like that. I'm definitely excited to see how this comes together. And I love Plaid Hat games. And this is like a fantasy Forgotten Waters. That seems really cool.
Yeah, I think it's some post-apocalyptic too, a little bit. You're kind of doing some
weird
odd jobs
and everything in there.
Things. Yeah, it's like pretty whimsical. And when I saw this, I was like, this has Rory's name written all over it.
I know. Like, did you guys play Forgotten Waters? It was such a great game, and like the way the system worked together, and like all of the voice acting, and like how like it felt like a party storytelling game almost. You know?
Yeah.
The voice acting was really good.
We really enjoyed Forgotten Waters. It's a solid game. It's fun.
Did you play Forgotten Waters, Rob? Gotta get on that back catalog of things, man.
There's just too many good games out to play. There's just so many. It's hard to
I don't like the books.
Oh, you don't? Oh, yeah, you told me that you don't like the books. The books are such a minor part of this, though. Like
doesn't matter.
But this one, like Mice and Mystics.
The voice acting in this
one
is
wasn't a book though. It was a board.
This is all an app versus webpage.
Fable.
Stuff
Fable.
That's the first one with the book, and I still have that to play with my kids. But yeah, I haven't played any of their book games since Stuff Fables.
That's crazy.
This one's the audio and the story is in the webpage, but the book here is more of like it's not as involved on the using the book as Stuff Fables is. This is more of like you just go and select actions and then you just
it's just an action selection, like you just pick a choice, kind of like a choose your own adventure sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the art for this and everything.
So is it really a board game, or is it just like a super interactive storytelling?
I wouldn't even call it storytelling because you're not telling a story. You're like discovering a story. It's more like, think of like Tales of the Arabian Nights-ish sort of thing, as opposed to like making up your own story. You're kind of like going through a story, you know?
Yeah.
The only thing the app does is read the story to you that you come across.
Does it do voices?
Yeah.
If it's anything like Forgotten Waters, like the voice acting will be amazing. And that was one of the things that just like blew me away with Forgotten Waters, was like all the stuff that they had in there. They had like professional voice actors doing stuff, which is kind of interesting because Donald used to work with, I think, Funimation or something like that. Some company that did like anime, like putting it into English. So now he has all this experience with that stuff, and now he brought it into like doing all the voice acting for Plaid Hats games. But now he's actually part of the design on this. I'm kind of excited to see how this comes together.
Yeah, very, very exciting.
And this next one, oh my goodness. This is Clank Legacy 2, Acquisitions Incorporated, Darkest Magic.
Hey.
The year that Clank Legacy came out, Clank Legacy was like my #1 game of the year that year. So Clank Legacy 2 sounds super exciting. And the fact that Clank Catacombs is Ruthie's current favorite game, I'm definitely super interested in trying this out.
I'd like to
Yeah.
try it out too, but I don't think I'll get a chance.
It's too many plays. Is it too many plays for Kent?
Kent
Yeah, it might be
hated
too
the
many
first
plays.
one.
I think
He
I
hated
just
it.
burned out on the too many plays. I can't play a game more than 3 times.
I kind of
No.
understand
No.
because I hadn't played Clank for like years. I played the first Clank like 1 or 2 times, and then it was just a huge drought of Clank. And then when Roy came up and we played Clank Catacombs, I was like, man, I really should play Clank more. This is a great game.
The thing about Clank Legacy is it's kind of like Clank Catacombs that we played, but imagine if certain spaces on the board let you read in a storybook and put stickers on cards and put stickers on the board. Like that's kind of what it is.
That's great.
I do wonder if this will have a modular board like Clank Catacombs does, or if it'll have a board that like kind of is just a static thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, either would be pretty cool. I'd say.
It'd be neat to see the legacy system with like turning the board over like in Catacombs. I still haven't even played Catacombs. I love Clank. That's just become one of those games where I'm like, I'll play Clank. Like, don't know what to play, I'll play Clank. I mean, it's still that for me. So I'm super stoked on this.
Paul Denton's such a good designer, and Direwolf is such a crazy company because like they make extremely solid board games, but they also make extremely solid board game apps. Like their apps that they make for other publishers' games are insane.
Yeah.
And like that's their main business is making apps. But then they're like, oh, we're gonna make these Clank games and make like
Dude Imperium.
Dude Imperium, which just
Yeah,
hit the
right.
top 10, by the way.
Yeah.
So I talked to the designer of this a couple times at West or whatever. It was kind of funny because Ruthie's like, oh, if we see him, I want to take a picture with him because he designed my favorite game. I'm like, okay. So you took a picture with Paul Denton. It's kind of funny.
That's neat.
Oh man.
Yeah, super thing. And then the most important news we have is actually number 0 here is Adam's birthday. Happy birthday, Adam!
Happy birthday, Adam.
Happy birthday.
Everybody in the chat say happy birthday.
It's a big deal.
Can't made it too big though. Let me fix it.
I did it real quick.
It was so important that
Yeah.
you
I
wanted
had to
to
make it
not
big.
think about it and just go with your emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're in chat, make sure to say happy birthday to Adam, and we'll say happy birthday to him here too.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
He is 23 today, so
Yeah.
Again. Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Lots of people have this gray of a beard at 23. It's normal. It's hormonal. Okay.
it's like the opposite of like
Adam saw some stuff.
it's the opposite of Just for Men. It's like Just for Men but gray edition. You brush in the gray.
Yeah, you brush it in.
Yeah.
It's so you'll be taken more seriously. Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Listen, if
Very
you're working
silent.
in academia, you have to have the salt and pepper look, you know. So
It is. It's when you work on a college campus, you just start to get streaks, and they're like in different densities. It's really great. I had my hair pulled up today, and somebody took a picture of me. I was working with one of my interns, and I have so many gray streaks kind of on the under side of my hair coming through here. They showed me the picture, and they're like, "Oh, this is a cute picture of you giving tutelage to your students." And I'm like, "Whoa." I look like J. Jonah Jameson if he was a dirty hippie. It's crazy. So yes, I hope everyone in chat and everyone listening gets to age with grace and continue to play fun games with their family and their friends. As I'm happy to be doing that another year. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Use
we're
board
grateful,
games to stay
thankful.
mentally sharp as you age.
yeah, they really. I hope so. Something I'm doing's got to keep me acute.
I still think somebody needs to come up with like a retirement home that like
Yes.
where all gamers go to get like when they
That's
when they
been
get
my
older.
plan for like
just
years. That'd
all
be
play
amazing.
games and as when in our
We
90s,
need to get
80s,
it funded,
90s.
get a study funded, and compare cognitive decline in gamers versus non-gamers.
I'm
Oh,
telling
that's
you,
probably
like,
good.
That's
Is that how you
I've
get
got to
like
talk Tom
everybody
into
to
just
sleep
be
at
like,
the home?
listen,
You just give them a rule book or something?
the whole Dice Tower library should just be put in a retirement homes and just have like a gigantic like board game compound of just people playing board games till death.
That'd be great.
I mean, look, if you're in a retirement home and it's like, hey, we've got 4 different D&D gamers running today, y'all want to just hop in? It's like, absolutely, yeah,
Oh, man.
100%. I mean, this is the dream.
Honestly, all it takes is 2 board gamers to go there with their collection when they're that old. It would fill up an entire retirement home anyway, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like
Pat wants to know, did you get any board games for your birthday?
I didn't.
Ooh.
But I know, boo. My wife is afraid to buy me games because she's like not sure what I own or not, so which is a fair assessment.
yeah.
So for me, I just wanted them to play a game with me, and I was telling the EGN team here beforehand that I did request everyone play a game with me, and I let them choose. And we played Ice Cool, which is a fantastic family game, a fantastic dexterity game. It's a super good, quick game that you can play with anybody. And we played 3 total games of it. And by the end of it, there were just penguins flying across my house. My children had all decided they were going to master the flick down, and we sent penguins just flying all over the place. It's a good game. I hadn't played it probably in over a year. It holds up. It's so simple, but it's just absolutely adorable. I think it's hard if you're a gamer and you have a big collection. It's hard to not open up Ice Cool and just kind of appreciate how elegant and simple it is for a dexterity game. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Have you played with the both 1 and 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I own them both. I still have yet to bust both of them out. I just go, okay, I'll just do the 1 for right now because I don't have a large enough group to play 8.
Oh, we could do that in a couple of weeks. That might not be a bad one, actually. It's a good late night game when you're kind of like, I don't want to think anymore. I don't want Courtney to beat me any more games.
I am horrible at dexterity games, so
Perfect. Bring
no
Ice
competition
Cool.
there.
I got it. I'll add it to the bag.
That's all I needed to hear, Courtney. It's coming out.
So the flicking games I cannot do. I just whiff like every time. Like,
Awesome. Well, we can jump into the games that we've been playing. And since it's Adam's birthday or close to Adam's birthday, we're going to start with Adam.
Oh, wonderful. It's not because we did this in alphabetical order. It's because my birthday is so important.
Honestly, I put them in
yes.
random order when I started this whole thing.
Oh,
They've kind of been that.
I guess that's right, 'cause
But now,
Ruthie's
now
second
Courtney's at the
usually,
bottom
right?
because she was going to be late last week, but we didn't do it last week. So
That's right. Yeah, so I was on vacation for a couple of weeks, and I got back, and it was just me and my daughter at the house for a weekend. So we broke out some Ticket to Ride San Francisco, which is
nice.
another game that I hadn't played in a minute. I think it's newer-ish in the Ticket to Ride.
That's one of the small map ones, right?
It is, which is when people want to play Ticket to Ride, like that's become my go-to suggestion is like, no, let's play one of the smaller ones because Ticket to Ride has a little bit of a monopoly effect when you play like on the original US and Europe maps. You feel like the game's about to end, but then it never does. It's like really long. And Ticket to Ride is a fun, simple game. I am not sick of it, but I don't want to play it for 2.5 hours. Ticket to Ride San Francisco has rounds. Or wait, does it have rounds? No, see, like I just played it a couple days ago and I've already forgotten. It doesn't have rounds, but it kind of times you out because of how small the board is and how quickly you'll put your streetcars out, rather. And it's just a fun little take on it. And then rather than have like a end of game like pylon scoring where it's like who has the longest continuous thing, you have kind of a little bit of a pickup like set diversity, like a set collection set diversity thing where if you go to the different location, you pick up the little souvenir token from that location, and then you get kind of a scale of points going up by having 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 different ones. So, but otherwise, it's it's a little rummy style set collection and just connecting your little hidden objectives, which are your little routes on there, which is great. And I would say with 4 people, it plays in like 30 minutes or less. And then with the two of us, I think we played twice in 30 minutes. We played maybe 15, maybe 20-minute games. So, that's a big recommend. That one, and I think it's in Norway is the little snowy one. I think those are my favorite ones.
I recently played the app for Ticket to Ride on the plane flight to Dice Tower West. Tom brought out his iPad and was like, "Oh, let's play Ticket to Ride." And Tom always brags about like knowing all the tickets in the regular map and knowing all the routes and stuff. I haven't played Ticket to Ride much at all, so like I'm like terrible at the game. But so me and Kenny and Tom were playing, and it quickly became just me and Kenny just trying to block Tom every single way he was going. It's like, we don't care if we win, we're just gonna block Tom. I'm like, so I ended up just being a spoiler to letting Kenny win the game, which for me was a win, honestly. But
just obstructing those routes. He's going New York to LA, and you're like, no,
I was trying
you're
to play it
not.
as an area control game, which I
was
guess
gonna
is
say
not what it
I'm getting
actually is. It's
flashbacks to some of our area control games.
I know. I was like, oh, can't go this way, can't go that way. You're trying to go that way? Nah. But no, it was fun. I tried to do a little bit more low key than that though, and just be like, and just wait for the groans. But yeah, it was fun. But yeah, and then your other game, Adam. You
Yeah,
played Final Girl.
yeah, it's Final Girl. Yeah, I got my Final Girl Kickstarter showed up right before I left for vacation. So when I got back, I broke it out. I had kickstarted it mostly to kind of get, at the time, because when it had come out, I had played Hostage Negotiator. That was a hard word at this hour of the night.
It's not right after breakfast, so he can't really talk right.
That's when I'm freshest. That's when I'm freshest. And so I had kickstarted it more to complete the series 1, the first series of it, and now I have all of that, and I'm like, man, I should have just got the second stuff, because all of the first series is actually available in retail now. It's just one of those man, I really am tired. One of those hobby gamer moments where you're just like, the second I wait forever for this is what's available, and now it's the other thing I need to get. But it's fun. It's a solo game. So lonely solo play. But I'm trying to think of how I would categorize the game. It's like a little resource management game in a way.
Does it have press your luck in it with the dice and stuff too, or
Tons.
Yeah. There's definitely press your luck, and definitely kind of a little resource management thing. So you're kind of just, I think one of the biggest appeals to it, to be honest with you, is like it's just kind of a really neat package and components thing. Which, once again, just to sound really bougie and impressed with the way people put things together, the theme is really neat, and then the way you kind of get each little different set of monsters or killers and scenarios is that they're on these little VHS tapes, and the board is just, you kind of peel the old VHS tape apart, and it's a magnet, and one side of it is the monster and the other side of it is the location, and you can mix and match the monsters and locations and the final girl that you play with. So really, yeah, you're just kind of resource managing and pressing your luck to try to prevent this monster from killing a bunch of people at the locations and then ultimately killing you. So really what you do is you kind of run away from it, you save people, which has got a little pick up and deliver on the board. Playing on the board, it's not, if you play the game, you know what I mean? Like, where you go on the board isn't really relevant. Like, some different items will show up kind of randomly on it. It's really more about kind of getting, again, resource management more than pick up and deliver, because the innocent bystanders essentially become resources that you have to move around, lest you give more power to the killer. But it's fun. It plays pretty quick.
Especially if you die pretty quick.
I was gonna say, I died so fast sometimes, and it.
Yeah, it can kill you. Like, it can be really swingy. I think if you're looking for something that's going to like hand you a very clear path to victory each time, or even a fair path to victory, it's not that. It's got some pretty big swings in it. You can get behind, and I do feel like I've gotten behind a few times where I'm like, I'm gonna finish playing this, but I probably don't need to, because I don't think that I'm gonna win, and I probably have 15 more minutes to play, which is,
oh dang.
I think that's a little bit of a critique of it, but it is neat. You know, you can, as you play with the different final girls, you'll unlock some different weapons and things that you can kind of use that are like supposed to be unique to them. Although I don't think there's really anything preventing you from just mixing those up as well.
I know people that love solo games. Like, this is one that they're just always talking about and really enjoy. So that's awesome.
It's really well done. The presentation's great. It's just, but it is hard.
Yeah. It's definitely got a little bit of punishment. I think if you like the horror theme and you're willing to be like, oh my god, that was ridiculous how fast I got killed, if you can laugh at that to yourself.
Yeah.
Some
people have compared it to more like an experience. Like, you kind of play through, and no matter what happens, you're still having fun, but you're kind of like creating a story of what happened, and you might get murdered immediately, or you might not.
Yeah.
Or like kind of like the Arkham Horror card game thing where you just sometimes the game plays you.
Yeah,
I
I've
actually
had
think
games of Arkham Horror where it's like pull out the auto fail token. Oh, that stinks. Throw it back in the bag.
Yep.
Accidentally pull out the auto fail token again.
Yeah.
Throw it back in the bag. It's like I think I'm gonna lose this game. Pull it out again. Be like, I quit this game. Is what happens. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think if you can deal with the swinginess of Arkham Horror, like you would probably enjoy this. It's mechanically very different, but I think I would agree with Ken. That's a super good comparison. I like Arkham Horror a lot. And my daughter sat and played this with me, like any solo game. There wasn't really like, we would just kind of take turns. What should you do this turn and stuff. So I did play it not alone, but it
That's cool.
it's kind of more just puzzling it out together.
That's what we did. Kent.
Yeah.
I watched Kent play.
I needed Courtney's help. I was getting whooped.
Yeah, I've needed Courtney's help.
I don't think I was much help. I didn't know what was going on.
So Kent, would you say you or Courtney were the final girl?
I think we both were dead.
Well, it looks like Matt played a pile o' games.
Yeah, man. I played a couple. I was just going to talk about just one and Scout though. I've talked about Scout before. It's such a clever little game to just.
I've heard
bust
so
out.
much good stuff about it.
It's so easy and simple, and so my girlfriend has started a game night with some of her coworkers, and so I'm trying to slowly introduce them to games. So it's basically really sort of simple, straightforward things that are rules light that we can just hop into and not have to take too much time. So Scout is kind of great for that, and it still allows you to be a little thinky in a game that's kind of a small package, but it's also fun for anybody who's just picking up and starting out. And Just One's a solid little word association game that is great in groups where you just pick a word. Everybody's got to write down something to make you guess it. If you match up those words, they're gone, so that you have less clues to choose from, and it's just a good time all around. You end up laughing a lot
I
at
think
the clues people give.
I think Just One is currently like my favorite gateway game to teach new gamers. Like if people have never played any games before, I think Codenames and stuff like that used to be kind of good, but Codenames is a little bit more esoteric than Just One. Just One is so simple. Like it's more like party weight. Like, and anybody can play it. Anybody can jump in or out. It's not that big a deal, and it's just so easy to get to the table.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. I think with Codenames, it's like Codenames is pretty light until it's like your first or second time playing, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be the guy who like picks the words out?" And
Yeah,
you're like,
Codenames isn't as raucous as Just One is. Just One is fun. Like the
everybody
groans
has-
when people have the same word or like the different crazy stuff,
Hey,
and just seeing how people interact with Just One is just so it's more of like a party atmosphere than Codenames is.
yeah,
Like Just
and I
One, if you get words crossed off and you still get the answer right, that just feels great.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
so
like
fun.
that's just people are celebrating.
Yeah,
And
there's
it's
nothing
fully
like
cooperative. Like Just One's or
Yeah.
Codenames is teams, so they're
Yeah.
still against each other.
yeah,
when you get a single clue answer like that. It's like the whole table's like, oh,
Yeah.
cats are flying up in the air.
I saw Watch It Played at Aircon in the UK did an 100-person Just One. Where they had like 100, it was like just 100, where like 100 people
just a
were writing down words, and then they got rid of all of the people that matched,
Oh,
Wow.
and then you had to go with what was left. Like just
That
the
sounds
logistics
great.
of that seems insane to me, but I'm
Yeah.
sure that was fun to watch.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those con games where you have somebody who's moderating going, all right, who said weather? All right, y'all sit down. Y'all go away.
Did you play
yeah.
Pokemon?
No, those are coasters.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
You have
they're
Pikachu
silicone
coaster?
coasters that look like the old school Pokemon cards. And I had to make sure I put Fat Pikachu in there because Fat Pikachu is the only
That's awesome.
It's but yeah, no, it was a good time. I just had a stack of games and it was great. And I think the best part was we went over to someone else's house. Their parents were there, and we ended up playing games with her mother, who's 81.
Oh wow.
And she was like, "Yeah, I know this one card game. It's called Fantan. That's kind of it." And it was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we played some Fantan, and then we branched out and played some other games and had a good time.
That's fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kent's game.
All right. So I played a game called The Great Split. I think it came out last year, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's by Horrible Guild, and Lorenzo Silva is the designer. It's basically a card drafting and I split you choose kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing about it is it plays high player count, and since you're mostly drafting, it works really well even with like all up to 7. I played it with 7 actually, with a bunch of people who weren't really. Yeah, who weren't really. Some of them were like new gamers who haven't really played any games at all. And in this game, all you're essentially trying to do is move up on tracks. You've got a bunch of different resources you're moving up on tracks, but the real fun of the game is you get a hand of cards, and you're trying to make 2 good piles of cards, because you're going to have to give 2 piles to your person on the left, and then they have to decide which one they want to keep, and you get the other one back. So you don't want to make one stack too good. You kind of want to make both stacks pretty appealing, or look at what the person has and kind of tailor what you're making to something they might want to go for. But it's really quick, easy, fun. It gives you kind of a feel of some roll-and rights, because sometimes when you get cards, it gives you benefits of other things on the track. So like as you move on a track, you might get another move on another track. That's a really common thing in a combo roll-and rights. And it's really, I mean, for just moving on tracks, it's very satisfying to get all these resources, and then there's some variable scoring that happens each game. So like you don't know exactly when certain things are going to score. There's some variability with that, and then there's this cool mechanism where art in the game is one of the resources, and that is the value of that changes depending on these random tokens that were assigned at the beginning of the game. So on one of my slides, you can kind of see at the bottom, there's like a slider that goes through, and it will set. It'll tell you
the value of it,
how many points you get based on where the art currently sits. So it's like you kind of look at where you are on your chart, and then you're going to look at the value. So it's kind of a neat thing. And then ultimately at the end, you're going to have some score multipliers, which are like you can get some major points if you really planned ahead well for it. But it's a fun, easy game. The production is amazing. It's got these dual layer player boards, and it's got 7 of them too, which is crazy to me. And it's not that expensive a game too either, I would say. But it looks really classy. It's got the theme doesn't really matter that much, but it looks nice. So it's kind of anyone who would see this on the table, if they're not a gamer or what, would be like, huh, that looks kind of.
It reminds me of like the depth of like Splendor or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's really not deep at all. I mean, there's some strategy, but it's not like not crazy hard decisions or anything. But it's fun.
I played this one and had a lot of fun with it. Like, I did pretty well in it, but like I played with Mike and he was super mad at me because I was always the person splitting for him.
Yeah.
And I was just always like making it where he would always look at it and be like, I know which one Roy wants me to take.
Yes, you can kind of
like he would get mad because he knew he was benefiting me more than he was benefiting himself. But I set it up in ways that he like always wanted to take what I wanted him to take, and I always got back what I wanted.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
I love
like,
that. I love that.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
But it's probably actually an easier game than Seven Wonders too, compared to if you want to like compare
definitely. Drafting
games. So it's worth checking out if you have a chance to play it. I would definitely recommend The Great Split.
Yeah, I had not heard of this until you posted it in the slides, and I feel like this is a game my wife would play. So I may just on spec buy it because it's kind of that light Euro, easy to stack some players like her mom and her sister might play. Like this feels like a Mrs. Sparks game. So
it's fun.
I just added this to Amazon cart.
I don't know. I like things like Splendor and like Century and stuff like that. It gives me that kind of vibe for that style of game, like a lighter, like fast paced, like Euro-ish game, I guess, or whatever those style of games are. Yeah. It's weird to even call those kind of games Euros, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, they kind of are. I don't think of Splendor
You're just getting
being
points.
a Euro,
Games where you get points.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, here is the moment. What chat's been waiting for.
I don't know if chat's been waiting for this.
I've been waiting for this.
I've been waiting for this. The drama. Spill the tea, as the kids would say. Spill the tea.
So we recently, and first of all, thank you, chat, because you guys on our last show, I believe I said werewolves or vampires, and we chose werewolves. And so if Sammy is still listening, sometimes I do ask the chat what your bad guy should be next. So anyway, our group, a couple of people very last minute had to back out of the session. I had some life stuff come up. So we still had 4 people plus myself playing, so we still had a good session, but I thought I would mess with them a lot rather than, go deep into the story, because I like the whole group to be together if we're going to go deep into the story. So the group at our last session, they went through this portal, they didn't know where they landed, and we sort of left on a cliffhanger. And then when they came out, when we started the new portal, that's a special burial place for giants where they landed. And there were some secret guardian creatures that were guarding the area of where these giants are buried and stuff. But the orcs and stuff were chasing our D&D group, and they were trying to get the scepter and try to get stuff out. And since I had my new Dungeons and Lasers Kickstarter come in, I had a bunch of villagers and civilians that I was able to add in. So when our group went through the portal, they were trying to rescue the town. So I also added like 15 plus villagers that came with them, right? Like I haven't painted them yet. I painted that one guy you see in the blue there now, but a lot of the gray ones, of course, I haven't painted yet. So so we had, the group was there, and they just fought a big battle, and everybody was tired. I think one person had 1 spell slot left. One of the other players only had 3 hit points. Like, everybody needed a rest. And so I was like, okay, well, in this group, I'm going to have a mom and 2 kids be werewolves.
Oh,
and the mom and 2 kids are going to just start eating the group as they try to sleep. So nobody gets any sleep. Yes, this is D&D. Sorry for the chat. And so, yeah, playing D&D. And but the mom and the 2 kids, they weren't the only kids there. And so our group, they were trying to figure out stuff and trying to figure out where they were and how far away were they from Gordon, which is the name of the city that all this stuff started at. And so they weren't focusing so much at the beginning. They weren't focusing on who was with them. And so Sammy, I love Sammy. So Sammy's pretty easy to manipulate. I'll just like, if I want to get Sammy to get upset, I know what to do to press Sammy's buttons. And so they start asking some of the villagers some questions, and I have one of the kids be a jerk to Sammy. Now all the kids are like 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old, and I have one of the kids like, you know what? I'm just sad, and my family's gone, and I don't know where my parents are, and I'm hurt. Could you just leave me alone? Like, please, just leave me alone. And of course, her character didn't like that. She's like, screw you, kid. Like, fine, whatever. So then they try to go to sleep, and then the 2 people that they had stay guard, I cast sleeping spells on them, and so they had to roll the dice. They failed, so everybody fell asleep. And then I had everybody leave the room, and when they came back, I pulled out a couple of the villagers and moved them to the outer rim of the area. And so those were dead bodies. And all of a sudden, this investigative mode, because they slept for maybe 45 minutes in the game, so they didn't get to regen anything. And so all of a sudden, they're starting to figure out. And my wife, I love my wife, but she's such a douchebag. Because like right from the get-go, she's like, oh, these are werewolves. There's werewolves here. Somebody's trying to kill us. And I'm like, first of all, you don't know that, okay? You don't know that. Just go along with the story, Marlo, even though she's exactly right.
And then he said, everyone, close your eyes.
Close your
and so they started to investigate some stuff. And and I wrote out in my notes, because I have like a big binder of all my notes and all my characters and all these different things that I've created. And I wrote out what the kids were wearing and what the mom was wearing. So if they were going to do some investigation, they would notice, like, okay, maybe a little piece of clothing was over here, or a little color of this was over there. And I gave the werewolf kids like weird names. But the other kid that Sammy didn't like, his name was William. And that was also sort of a tell. Like, okay, William's just like this normal kid.
It was a William Tell. Sorry.
Was it William Tell? And so what was fun is So they're doing some investigation. They're doing some stuff. And then they changed the night crew. They couldn't figure out who it was or what was going on. They had an idea, but then they changed the night crew. Well, this night crew, when they were watching for the second sleep cycle, one of them rolled high enough to be able to see something right before they fell asleep. They didn't get to see everything, but they saw something right before. That's right, Bongo and Hair Tree. Crazy, stupid names. I make up most of these names like at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, what's a crazy dog name? Bongo, Hair Tree. Okay, because they're going to be in the forest. By Hair Tree.
That works.
It works, right? And it's fantasy. You can make up anything. And so they see something, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, it's the kids. It's got to be the kids, and it's got to be the mom. And so Sammy, they all wake up, and everybody else is still asleep. 2 more villagers have been eaten. They're eaten. Their guts are all out, and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And so Sammy tries to like do a sneak attack on one of the kids before everybody wakes up because like they're fake sleeping, even though they know what's going on. So Sammy rolls. She rolls really well, and she does this sneak attack, and she grabs William by the hair. And so there's a 7-year-old child, and she grabs William by the hair, and she's like, "I know it's you." She picks him up by the head and like decapitates him in front of everyone. And I'm like, and so I literally take my paper, and we have some friends that don't even play; they just come over to watch. And so one of the friends that just came over to watch, I handed her the sheet, and I said, "Now that guy is William, and you see on here, William is the one kid that was actually human." So she didn't kill a werewolf. So she decapitates this super innocent kid who was just having a bad day because his parents are dead. Like, he's really sad. His village has been blown up. They're running. They don't know what's going on. And she just decapitates this kid. And everybody's just like, oh, everyone's just like, such a Debbie Downer. I'm laughing hysterically because I think this is hilarious. Like, you're a terrible person. You just killed this child. And then they end up having this fight with the werewolves. And they end up winning. But because she killed the kid, I put a curse on her, which a lot of that was just made up. I didn't plan on her killing a kid. I didn't think she was going to kill the kid. I thought she would have, like, smacked the kid or, like, yelled at him or something. Never in my wildest dreams did I think, okay, we're going to decapitate a 7-year-old in tonight's session. This is going to be great.
Did she crit him or...
Well, she had advantage. You know, she came up from behind, and he was actually sleeping. And so I gave him like 5 hit points, and like she's a half orc, half gnome. Her parents really love each other. That's all you guys need to know. But she's half orc, half gnome, and it works for them. And so she's big, strong. She's got pretty decent weapons, and so yeah, she was able to kill the kid in one fell swoop. And then this picture that you guys are seeing here. So if you look at this picture here. That guy, I don't know if you can really tell, but he's got crutches and he's got like a hat in his hand.
Yeah.
And he's facing us. That's the dad. And to his right out of frame, that's his sister, and then his mom's out of frame. And they're like, "Have you guys seen William?" And so they come back to the group. They defeat the werewolves. They come back to the group. And they come back to Gordon. Gordon's on fire. Got attacked. The fire.
Now you need like the parents to follow them to every town they go in, and they're just like looking for William. Like, William.
Oh, good Lord.
William. There's have you seen this? They're like, there's like every time they go in, there's like missing child posters everywhere.
Yeah.
Every tree, every milk carton is just missing William.
Tavern, it's on the mugs.
Exactly.
William.
Have you seen this child?
Dude, that story's going back to my group, Rob, because they killed an old lady a while back. They dropped her off of a pillar.
There needs to be some missing
That's
person.
Worse. This is worse.
There needs to be some missing person
I love
posters.
that idea, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to have the teenage daughter follow them and just put up posters all over the place, because now they have to try to go stop the orcs and also rescue some other people from the village that got attacked. So we're at the beginning of like this big adventure. But yeah, I think I'm going to have the teenage sister just follow with a bunch of posters like, "Mom and Dad, I'm going to do it. You know, I'll go with them. I'll bring William back." Oh, and also, here's the funny thing. So the parents asked.
This is the funnier thing.
This is the funny thing.
Well, the parents asked. The parents were like, "Have you guys seen our son? Was he with you? There's a bunch of kids with you." And everybody, within like 3 seconds of each other, "Nope, haven't seen any kids. What's your kid's name? William?" "Nope, haven't seen William."
See, Samantha
everybody
should have
around
done
the
a bluff
Is it
check to be
Wow.
like, he was totally a werewolf the whole time.
Well, one of the guys started to say, "Well, there were some werewolves," and Sammy, I think, gave Ian a look like, "Shut your mouth." Just real, like, okay, just it shut it down. But that's one of the things that I love about D&D, because half the stuff I don't prepare for. Our group does crazy things.
That's the way to do it.
So it's a lot of fun, and we're actually going to try to get another session in before the month is out. But Sammy, I love playing with you because you always keep me on my toes. Because even in our last campaign, she's done some crazy stuff. She killed this innocent old guy who had severe PTSD, and she just set him on fire. I knew I could set her off. I just didn't think she would do that to a child. I thought, like, okay, old guy, PTSD, and some other stuff, but not a child. And she was so happy. She was like, "Yeah, I got you. You're a werewolf." And she grabs him by the hair, and she goes into detail of what she does, and she just slits his throat. And I was like, actually, he was a kid, and he was human, and his body falls, and nobody's talking to her, and she tries to kill herself, and now she's where she can't die, and she can't ever now get a full rest because of the nightmares that'll happen from her curse.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Every time she rolls a perception check and it doesn't quite go to plan, the wind will whisper William.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like that. Yeah, if she rolls a perception check, anything under 10, she's either going to hear or see William real quick.
Oh,
She'll
man.
see William out in the distance.
He just leads her down dangerous paths in the woods and things and dungeons.
I love it.
So I did.
Come on, guys.
I did watch the D&D movie last week, and Scotty and Violet actually rolled up D&D characters after watching the movie because they're like, we want to play D&D. So I rolled up. Scotty rolled up a gnome druid, and then Violet had a tiefling warlock tiefling sorcerer that she rolled up. And we haven't really played much. I was just going over the rules and stuff with them and like doing all the character like building stuff and things like that. But yeah, so that should be cool. We've played Gam World a little bit before, but like D&D it's kind of cool because after watching the movie, Scotty immediately was like drawing his own maps, and I showed him the books, and he was like doing all sorts of different stuff. I'm like, oh no, it bit him. That's awesome.
It's the world building bug.
There's
so great, but I also love how you said out in the chat not too long in the campaign. This was our second session.
But I do want to note that like Samantha's never invited to our D&D game.
Yeah, that's too scary.
My kids, it's no.
Yeah, we
not
didn't
gonna happen.
get far at all.
Oh my God.
Into our campaign or anything, and the ethics are already out the window. So
I gotta play in this game at some point, Rob.
We'll definitely get you in. We'll get you in. But it's just a blast. I love playing with my wife, and her character. She's just a lot of fun. And she's got attitude and she's got sass, and so I love being able to see another side of my wife that I haven't seen before. Because again, this stuff is sort of new for her as well, and because I'm not such a rules lawyer, I'll let you do whatever you want as long as you roll well.
That's the way to do it.
Right?
Like,
you guys tell the story. I have a background and I painted a picture of a little bit, but you guys tell me what you want to do. And if you want to do these crazy things, we will do it. Just roll well. And so we have a lot of fun. We have a great group. In fact, the girl that was the friend that I showed the paper to, I was like, you see, William was the one kid that was innocent that she killed. She now asked to play. And so she's going to try out our next. She's never played before. And so she's going to try. I do all the voices. I try to make it weird and fun and silly because like I'm escaping. I'm having a good time, and so is everybody else. So D&D was Rob's game of the week.
That's awesome. Yeah. For me, I played Unmatched Adventures Tales to Amaze, which is what we had in the news a little bit ago. This is the cooperative version of Unmatched. We did a preview video of it. Me and Z and Justin Jacobson played on the Dice Tower. I played as Tesla, so that was pretty cool. But this is where basically you have your unmatched characters and you can go up against a bad guy cooperatively. And they have, aliens and the Mothman as like the first two like villains. But then they have a whole bunch of like smaller minions that each of the villains has. I think you play with one per player that you face off against. So we also played off against like the Jersey Devil and like the Loveland Toad and like the Blob, like all sorts of weird, crazy stuff. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know quite how it was going to work, but it was extremely simple. Like there's an initiative system where you have cards for each of the different characters in the game. You kind of shuffle it up so it's random each round who's going to go first. And each time you attack the bad guy, you have to flip a card for them. And each time they activate, they move to you and flip a card and try to attack you. And all the characters play really differently, and it was just a lot of fun playing a game that me and Z normally face off against each other a lot and like battle head to head and try to have like match of wits and like trying to outmatch each other in Unmatched. And it was really fun to play it cooperatively because Z also really enjoys cooperative games. It was a lot of fun playing with Justin as well and trying to figure out as a team how to approach the game. I'm definitely super excited about this. I think it's going to bring a new way to play Unmatched, and especially if you want to like play it cooperatively or even play it solo, it was a lot of fun. So,
which do you prefer, the co-op experience or the regular face-off?
I really enjoy skirmish games and I really enjoy cooperative games. So both are really fun for me. I think the cooperative experience is really good for someone who might not necessarily be like head-to-head competition. Like there's plenty of people out there that don't want to just wail on each other. When you play Unmatched cooperatively, you're both working together to wail on a bad guy, so it feels completely different, and it works really well. Like it worked surprisingly well. With the Mothman, you're trying to stop the Mothman from destroying bridges, so he's like flying around the map destroying bridges. So you're like you're going around trying to remove like the Dune counters off of bridges, or else they get destroyed. Each of the bridges has a special ability that you can kind of trigger to help any of the other like players. So there's that cooperation aspect in there. And it was just fun. Like sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to move here so I can soak up the hits because I have more hit points. And if I pull him away over here, then you can run up behind him and hit him. There was a lot of cooperation going on in the game we played, and we just barely won. And it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I haven't played against the UFO yet, but like the miniatures and sculpts look really, really good for this. Tesla was really cool because he has like these energy tokens that kind of flip over, and like he can build those up and his attacks can do better. Like the more you build up his energy, he's all about discharging electricity. And I just love how all the different characters in Unmatched feel so different as you play them. And all of those characters can be completely taken out and played head to head against each other. Or you can throw Spider-Man in here and have Spider-Man face off against the Mothman, or have like, Doctor Strange beating up on a UFO, however you want to do it.
Good times.
Yeah, I'm stoked for this.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked for this. If you're in chat and you haven't played Unmatched, like the thing that's I think really awesome about it, and the reason I love it as a co-op experience is I know people who will play this with me who wouldn't play the head-to-head. And it's a game where you like essentially get a tiny little deck of cards, and if you've played it once and you've played any character at any time, you don't really have to relearn the character. You can just kind of play it and you'll kind of uncover that theme from playing the cards out if you just choose not to kind of thumb through them. Like it's so
It's really
simple.
Yeah.
But it manages to be really unique with every character and every encounter you have, which I think is just such a testament to like a really, really, really well designed game. Like it's just a very streamlined experience that does not get in its own way. So I'm happy that you're enjoying it, because I think I might be more excited about this game than anything that's coming out this year right now. But maybe Last Light.
Okay. But no, I'm really excited. I mean, the thing about Unmatched is I played a lot of Unmatched, and I'm pretty good at Unmatched. So the good thing about this is I can take like my skill set in Unmatched and then play it with someone else without having to feel like, oh, you're new to the game, let me crush you in this game, or like have to feel like I'm pulling back. I can play together and we can both be doing our best and trying to like help each other. I mean, I love cooperative games for that reason alone, is that you can come to the table together and work towards a common goal. I mean, that's one of the things that I've loved in D&D and things like that for years and years. And when I found out that there were cooperative board games, it's just so much more accessible. You can play with somebody who's an expert at the game, or beside somebody who's a newbie at the game, and be working towards a common goal,
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, I think I like cooperative even better. And I really want to see more villains come out for this. I think there's a ton of minions, so I want to see the variety in the minions, but it'll be cool to see more villains come out, because you have the 2 so far that you can play against with this. But the minions are going to add a lot of variety just as that is. So
yeah, I suspect this thing is going to do super well. I think Unmatched has like its own, it's a pretty large sub community within the board gaming community, like as far as the people collecting it. So I feel like this is It's destined to be around for a little while.
Oh, I should show
Yeah,
you
I
a
think
picture
so.
of this. And it's kind of cool because like the Mothman has like plastic wings and like red eyes and all this stuff, like translucent plastic that they've added onto these figures, so their figures look really nice. And the UFO has like this green swirl of like clear plastic around like the base, like for the tractor beam pulling stuff up into it. It's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
But yeah. All right, next we have Courtney's game, which is probably going to be a game that a lot of people have been talking about. I still haven't had a chance to play this one, but this is Earth.
Yes.
It's really good. I like it a lot. One of my favorite things in this game and a lot of other games that do it, like Space Base or Bad Company, is when one person takes a turn, you get to also do things on their turn. It's not as powerful, but you're constantly doing things, and so there's very little downtime. And so you're just building up a tableau or an island, I guess, thematically in the game. And you're just putting out these different cards. And depending on what cards you put, they're scoring you different points. And there's different objectives that you're trying to work towards. And, I think there's 4 different objectives, and the first person to get to those gets the most points, and then the second person less points. But yeah, it's just a really fun game. It's by Inside Up Games. And the components are really, we got the Kickstarter version, so the components are pretty good. And the art's really pretty. I love nature themed games. I know other people maybe starting to get sick of them, but I still enjoy them. And yeah, it's just really fun. Kent liked it a lot too, but he's been playing it like nonstop online, like on one of the.
It's on Board Game Arena now, so
Okay.
I've been playing on digital. It works pretty well too over there.
I need to play this so bad.
It's actually
Yeah, just-
pretty easy to learn too. It's not
Yeah, it's
too
pretty
bad
simple.
rules
Everybody
wise.
said it's not that complicated. It's really, really quick. There's very little downtime.
Yeah, I was
There's
gonna say,
lots of different ways to score points
It's,
too.
it's
I
kind
mean,
of
it's
a
just
game
very
that's along the
different.
lines of like Terraforming Mars or Wingspan, but I've heard it's even more accessible than those games.
Yeah.
It gives some. I think maybe it's more complicated than Wingspan as far as how to play well.
Oh, gotcha.
Wingspan's a little more
You have
straightforward.
this tableau that you're building, and depending on how you organize it, you're going to get more points. And it also builds an engine at the same time. So when you do certain actions, they become more valuable, I guess, as you if you have those more cards, you get to do more things on that action. So it's a lot of fun.
I just know at work they reviewed this game and it was like 10, 9.5, 9,
Yeah.
9. So it was
Yeah.
like all just like solid gold as far as like their reviews were. And they're like normally have very differing opinions. Like very rarely do games like have that strong of scores on stuff. So I'm interested in playing this at least before the end of the year, so that way I can know how I feel about it, I guess. But it looks cool. I like engine building, so
Yeah.
it's beautiful too. It's really pretty.
it seems like this would really be up Matt's alley, right?
Yeah, I was the whole time I
Oh,
was thinking,
yeah.
I was like, I think Matt would love this.
Yeah.
I've been it's so I consume various board game media, and it feels like I can't turn my head without getting hit in the face with this game because it's everywhere right
Yeah.
now.
I
It
think
is.
I
It
really
is like
it.
it is like the new Arc Nova, basically, but it takes like
Yeah.
not even a fraction of the time to play. You know,
Yeah, and it's a
Yeah.
lot simpler too. I think
Yeah, Arc
See,
Nova's still
that's-
good and has a
Yeah.
lot of cool stuff, but this is definitely
it's way
more accessible.
faster. Yeah,
That's awesome because I just looking at the pictures of it, I'm just sitting here going, I have no idea what any of this is. It looks neat, but
it's
I have
engine
no
building
idea.
Yeah, I mean,
with
I didn't
cards.
teach you all at some point on Board Game Arena if you would like to. It's great implementation over there. So
Okay.
Can you play Board Game Arena like on a phone and stuff, or does it have to be like?
yeah,
a
it's just a
computer?
web browser. If you can get to a web browser, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely be down for that one night here because
I have never board gamed Arena.
And it's all
So
Board
that
Game
should-
Arena is rules enforced too, so you can't make a mistake.
Ah,
yeah.
And it does all the everything for it. It's not
but
like
Kent loves that.
yeah, it's really nice. You can't make mistakes
Hey,
unless
man,
they
that's-
programmed it wrong.
Look,
Okay.
sometimes that's how it has to work because it's like even though the Blood Rage game that most of us backed on Kickstarter for Steam for other reasons
Yeah.
wasn't that great, it was still just like I'd play it and I'd go, oh, that's how that works.
You're like, oh,
We've never played this game right.
Wow, this is one of my most played games, probably one of my favorite games of all time, and I still have no idea what this card does. Hey. Oh man, that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, our topic of the week for this week, we have a little bit of time for this, is New gamer mistakes. So what are some mistakes that people might make as they're coming into the board game hobby? What is something that they might mess up or get tripped up on as they're coming into board games? I know Kent suggested this one. What was your ideas behind this, Kent?
Well, I had a few things. So there's I've made a lot of mistakes since I've been in the board game for a while now. But it's kind of, I still kind of make these mistakes, I would say. But like just an example, like so somebody come into board games, they're like, "Hey, I want to try some games. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I should look for. Let's go to the top 100 BGG.
That was the
Oh,
first
I need
thing
to go
thought
buy
of,
the
too.
best game, the top game on BGG. Let me go ahead and buy that."
Brass.
And it's
Let me
something
get
that they're not
brass.
prepared for, or it's not something they could even
Mhm.
they don't know what to do with it when they get it. Maybe, I mean, maybe they do, but it's like there's a lot of things you can just fall into. Also, like chasing the FOMO, trying to play every new game. Got to back all the Kickstarters, or at least try to keep up with all the Kickstarters. It's just a lot, and kind of if we can share some of our mistakes and in our history, we can maybe help avoid some of these from other people in the future. That's kind of where I was coming from with this one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
piggyback off of that. My idea, I didn't even think about the whole BGG top 100, which that's a great point. Mine was having to get all the expansions and get everything all at once because it looks really good and you don't want to miss out. There are plenty of games that I have overspent and overbought, and the base game is just fine by itself, and all the additions, I don't even get like half the time to the table. And so I would tell new people to the hobby, like, play the base game first and see if you like it before you start jumping down the rabbit hole of trying to buy everything else that goes with it. Make sure you like it, and also make sure you have a friend group to be able to play
Right.
with as well. Because there are plenty of times where I've bought games or bought experience, like A Song of Ice and Fire is a great example for me. I love miniature games. I love war games, but there's nobody around here. And for like a year and a half, I was driving 2 hours to go play a game. And it's very expensive. It can get pretty crazy. And I still loved it. And I would have kept up with The Song of Ice and Fire had there been more local people. But even like some of my games, I look at on my shelf, I have a lot of expansions still in Shrink, but I just play the base game. So make sure you like the game first. Even watch some videos of people playing it, or try to play it yourself, or even Tabletop Simulator. That's a great way to try to be able to, get a game to the table before you spend any money. So
I agree.
that's my
Like,
advice.
there's so many games that have so much content for it that you can just like you can parse it out. And I mean, there's a lot, like Marvel Champions is my favorite game, or one of my favorite games, and people are always like, "Oh, there's too much out for it." The good thing is, like, you don't buy everything for it. Like, if you want to play the base game, just get the base game, and then after you've played what you own, then you can get a little bit more, and then after you've played that, then you can get a little more. Like, don't buy things that you haven't played what you have already. You don't have.
What
to
about
just
my
keep
street
chasing.
cred, Roy? What about my street cred? One box of Marvel Champions? Who's gonna hang out with me if that's
It's not that big a deal. Like, just play stuff and play on the level that like you're ready with. Like, you don't have to own every bit of everything, It's crazy. And another thing is just like schedule time to play games. Like, just get out there and like try to find people to play stuff with. That's what's really just going to help you get stuff to the table, and start with stuff simple. Like, don't make the mistakes of trying to, oh my goodness, I got Brass because it's the #1 game. Let me bring in these people that have never played games and try to get
Do
them to
not
play
let
Brass.
that be your first game.
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Don't do.
Try to meet other people where they're at, because they might not be as big into board games as you are. They might not be as in depth, and don't even necessarily be like, oh, I'm gonna play just one with them, so next game night we can play Brass. Like that's
Yeah, we kind of made that mistake. Like,
Yeah, early on I've made that
with
mistake.
with Kent's sister and her husband, we played like 5 tribes with them, and they really liked it. And I think like the next Christmas or something, we got that for them. And then the next time we tried playing Viticulture, which for us that didn't seem like that big of a jump.
But they were really into wine and kind of that.
Yeah, because they're really they're like really big wine drinkers. So we're like, oh yeah, they'll love this theme. And we got like halfway through the game, and like my brother-in-law, he just like got up from the table and left. Like he was like, I'm done. I don't understand what's going on.
I
like
haven't seen him since, which is crazy.
But because of that, I think because of that, like now every time when we play games, it's like, ooh, I don't know. Like I mean, they still like to play games, but he a lot of times will just excuse himself if he knows we're going to be playing games. Like he doesn't even want to try anymore. Sometimes it's a lot harder to get him to play games now.
It's hard as like a hardcore gamer to not want to like be like, oh, let's play this bigger thing and this bigger thing. But like meeting people where they're at, or like meeting people like with things that they're comfortable with is really important. I mean, honestly, just getting around the table with people is like the important part. You know, it's like It doesn't impress anybody when you tell them, oh, my kid played Twilight Imperium, or oh, my kid played this Lacerda, you know, like let your kid be a kid, play kids games with your kids, you know, you don't have to be teaching people games to force them to the next bigger and better thing that you want to be playing, you know.
I mean, who doesn't want to meet a 7-year-old playing Kanban EV, you know? And that would be pretty cool.
I mean, I want to meet that 7-year-old. I think you're right. I think it's such a faux pas to try to make people play at your pace. And even though your intentions might be good and you might be really excited, you become a gatekeeper at that point too, because you make somebody feel like, so when I was like, what about my street cred? Like it is about your street cred, because it's almost like you're trying to prove that like, yeah, you might love Ticket to Ride, you know, but you should feel really stupid because what you should be playing is this instead. And like, even though that's not what you're saying, that's what people are hearing, right? Like you kind of like, I don't play anything that's that light. So I think that's what Roy said is probably the most important part of this conversation, is meet people where they are.
I think a lot of that can just be sort of summed up by, I think we all get very excited because this is our hobby, this is our passion. So when we get a new game, we get excited for it, or when we see that there's a connection that can be made to somebody and we can go, oh man, I think they'll really like this game because the theme or the mechanics or this or that, we get really excited for it. And it's just like, sometimes that emotional rush will just carry on through. And it's, you know, it's not always the case. And I feel like the emotion that I get from board games is mostly what gets me in trouble. Either being too excited for something and forgetting how to explain rules because I'm just like, yeah, we're going to play. Or just like... just sitting there and like looking at a game on Kickstarter. Like there was a game today. I hadn't even seen it on Kickstarter. And it was like one of the people I followed was like, hey man, I backed this game. It's only got 3 hours left. And I looked at it and it's just like a little dexterity game about like placing power lines and hanging castles.
To be fair though, man,
that game looks crazy.
I was like, this game looks so cool. And
it
so
does
I
look
backed
cool.
it immediately. And it was just like, it was one of those things that like, yeah. And it's like, I need to cut that out because like
but that game does look cool, honestly.
It does look cool. It does look really cool.
But it you know, I'll probably never stop doing that with dexterity games, just because it's like, oh yeah, I'm stacking stuff. Oh yeah, I loved playing with blocks when I was in kindergarten. This is that, but like it's great. But yeah, I've got to reining in your emotions and sort of being able to like relax, take a breath, and focus on whatever it is that you're trying to do is can probably help you not get into much trouble.
I think something that could be something that could be great for new players, which depending on the person is going to either you're going to be fine with it or it could make you uncomfortable. Look up local cons and see what people are playing around you. And I know a lot of cons now. We saw it years ago at Dice Tower East, and now I see it at other cons where they'll have the little things on the table where if you want players or you need a teacher or something like that, like go to a con, try to find out what games look like X, you know, because the cover art looks like one thing, but once you see the game all out on the table, it can kind of give you a better idea. Some people might have anxiety from 1,000 pieces on the table. Other people, myself included, will get really excited by seeing all the stuff on the table. So I think that's another great way for new people. Also, to be able to meet local people.
Yeah, the meetup group, man.
I got started in Winston-Salem. I just went to local meetups. Now I'm not the introvert as some other people. But board games is not a video game. You are going to have to socially interact.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for some people that can be scary, that can be frustrating. But the board game community is also like, how about this? My personal experiences with the board game community, very open, very nice, patient, and you shouldn't have a problem playing at least one game. They may not ask you to play a second game, but you shouldn't have a problem playing at least one game. And so that's what I would recommend. If you don't, because I know some people in chat are also talking about not having people in their areas and stuff like that, try to look up a con. Try to look up something local. You know, I can know here in we do Recon. That's a great local con. A lot of people play, and they also do those things on the tables. If they want players or non-players, check up board game stores. But it's not a bad idea to go see what you want to get yourself involved in first before you just start spending money. And also go see the type of people you're going to play with. Because you may not want to play with those people. You know, you might want to do something else. Not everybody has a Kent in their play group like we do. You know, like Kent is like this magnet that everybody just wants to hang around, and so we're very lucky.
Yeah, it's mostly because he can read fast, but
that's exactly what it is. He reads fast.
He's good at explaining rules.
He's a quick reader.
Yeah, him and Roy.
He also made a mistake by saddling himself to us because we will never let him go.
Yeah, no, it's just so bad.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that I was going to say as another mistake is if you're going to bring a game to the table, like if you've got a new game, try to like know that game or understand that game. Like don't put a game on the table and be like, that's the first time you open the rule book, because everybody at that table is not going to have a very good time, you know?
Yeah.
If you're learning the game from zero and this is the first time, like probably like do your research, like watch a video on the game, watch it played, read the rule book a little bit and feel a little bit more confident, because if you're looking for people to game with you, they're going to have a lot more of a fun time if you can kind of just like GM your way through the game or help them get into the game a lot easier and be more confident about what's going on. If you have your nose in the rule book the whole time, they're just sitting there watching you read the rule book. And if you're not as fast of a reader as Kent is, then it's going to be a little bit more of a pain in the neck. Like, honestly, when I'm learning games, I like to set up the board, like mess with the pieces, move stuff around. That really helps me to learn a game. I watch videos on the game. A lot of times I can just look at, I'm a weirdo. I can like look at the board and be like, this is how this works. But yeah, it's like just being able to be comfortable with the game before you bring it to the table can definitely help the other players that you're trying to get to play the game with you have a much better time and experience with the game and come back for more game nights. So that's really important.
That's something I think I really struggle with because I have anxiety. And so like what I'll do is I'll be like, oh yeah, I've played this before. I've taught it before. Everything's fine. I'll sit down. I'm explaining it. And then it's like I sort of forget the steps on how to explain stuff. And then my brain's like, okay, how do we get this back on track? And then somebody will ask me a question and I go, oh, I actually don't know that. And then I'm like looking at the rule book like, hang on, wait a minute, hold up. Let me just, and it's like, okay, I've just spent 15 minutes basically doing nothing, all because I didn't skim it ahead of time to make sure I had all of the little nooks and crannies figured out.
And that's when sometimes it's good to like, I mean, I know everybody likes to do the fun thing of being like, look at all the games. Which one would you like to play? Sometimes it's better just be like, guys, you know what we're playing? I know this game. This is the one we're playing. You know,
Oh, for
and sometimes
sure,
just being the leader and pulling that off, so that way you have something that you know you're confident that you can give people a good experience with.
Yeah, game night has a tight 5 games. This is the selection.
Yeah, I know. Like, we're gonna do this in a couple of weeks. You meet up with everybody, and we talk about all the games we want to play, and everyone's so excited. You're gonna play a 10th or a 5th of all the games that you bring.
Look,
having that plan really helps, because like I own a lot of games and I like a lot of the games, and like I can sit here, if you ask me about any of them, I could kind of tell you how it plays, but like if I haven't played it in the last 6 months, the chances of me being able to just sit it down without having to reread the rule book are really low. Even if I played it a bunch 2 years ago or something, it's just I certainly don't have that sort of mind. I wish that I did, but that's, you know, you don't want to overcommit to like having. Games take forever too. Like think of, you know, I think that's the thing too, is learning the pace and learning what people's tolerances are when you have them over for game night is another one. Like I know when I first got into the hobby, I would have like a Saturday night and I'd invite a bunch of people over, and this a little bit goes back into that knowing, like, meet people where they are. The group that would come was very mixed in terms of like what games they wanted to play and how they would want to play it. I remember my wife telling me once, she goes, you need to go, you invited everyone over, you need to go play Codenames with these folks for a little bit, because like I'm immediately at the table with something that we need to have like a TV dinner tray out to put the extra board out, like you're playing something of that size. And that's kind of bad planning, right? You're not really catering to your entire group. You can't go to the most complicated common denominator within the group, even if you are able to pull the game out at a moment's notice. I think that's like super important. Because
I was gonna say another thing is whenever I invite people over to play a game, like I normally would have, I used to do this all the time when we had Epic Gaming Night game nights. I would have like the first game set up on the table and like ready to go. Be like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
guys, we're not gonna do setup time or anything like that. I mean, a lot of times there were games like Mansions of Madness that have to be set up when we played first edition, had to be set up perfectly. But like, oh, we're gonna have people come over, especially because I like to play a lot of those big epic games. It's like the game's set up, playboards are all set up. What do you guys want to pick as your characters? Where do you want to sit? And just having everything like laid out so that way people don't have to watch me set up a game for the first game. That people are just immediately able to jump into things, so that helps out, with just getting people excited for the game night. I mean, sometimes that leads to having to wait for your entire play group to get there. But that's when you have another table where it's like, hey, we're playing one night over here until everybody gets here. Yep. Then we're going to jump into the big game,
Yeah, knowing what a filler game really is, I think, is really helpful, because if you're excited about the hobby and you want to have a game night, it really helps to have a couple of your friends who might not be as vested as you play one night while you're over here setting up this big Zombicide table. Zombicide's an easy game to teach people to play. It's not hard, but it can take 25 minutes if you're gonna set up like a 6 or a 9 tile scenario for that game to play 6 people at a table. Mm-hmm. Like, you're gonna spend some time getting that set up. Then it'd be cool if they were playing Go Cuckoo for the 20 minutes that you're setting that up.
Yeah. Touching on Rob's point about the conventions too. I really agree with the local convention thing. And also, you don't have to go to these giant conventions, especially early on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone talks about Gen Con and Origins and PAX and all these big, huge events.
They're
and
mostly terrible for playing games.
Yeah. So, unless you kind of know what you're getting into and you want that, you're probably going to get a better experience from a local con where you get to go and play, or any kind of convention where you're going to play games versus buy games. And those conventions can just be overwhelming in themselves. So, it's something, and following board game media and stuff too, you almost feel like, oh, I got to keep up with these big cons. I got to, that's kind of what's all the cool people are doing and stuff. And it's not necessarily what you have to do. So I think some people do slip into that at times when they've gotten into the I've never been to Gen Con. Anyway, that was something about cons. And then the other thing, you don't have to evolve. We talked about playing light games. You don't ever have to play anything heavier than light games if you're having fun and that's what you want to do. It's not like a requirement. You're not going to be less of a gamer or whatever. And you can just keep playing your whatever games make you happy. So you don't have to like be like, oh, let's move to the next thing. Because I feel like there's some pressure almost to do that too when you get into the hobby.
You can be like me, and when you go to those local cons, figure out the people that you like to play with and then kidnap them for your home game group. So it's like, oh, me and Rob yelled at each other over a game of Sheriff of Nottingham. Hey, Rob, want to come over and play games forever? So we can keep yelling at each other.
Yes, I do.
That's basically how it happened. It's like, oh, I like playing games with you. How about we play games more? That sort of thing. So you can figure out the people that you click with, and it's like, oh, stay away from these people or those people. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go play a game with these other people now. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, finding people that you enjoy gaming with will change the way you feel about certain games too. I mean,
For sure.
I know sometimes I know I'm guilty of doing this, and I think we've all done this in this group when we talk about it here. We say that game is really all about who's at the table. And there are games that are designed like that, but really it applies to any game to an extent. Like Sheriff of Nottingham is a great example. That's a personality game. It's like if everyone is on the same page or in the same wheelhouse, you're going to have a hell of a time with that, like, quote unquote game. But the same thing goes for a game that's crunchier or harder to play. If you're teaching somebody like viticulture and they feel like it's and it's Rob, he's not going to play.
He's going to whine about it the whole time. Get it?
Yeah. But like it depends also. Like if you concede to play something that's not like mechanically the game you're the most excited about or thematically, having a gaming group that you enjoy, you're like, I'll get enjoyment watching people play a game and do it better than me if they're having a really good time. So I can like play a game, do something really stupid, and like now I'm gonna lose because I attacked Courtney on the 3rd turn of Scythe and it's over. That can happen. And I do like Scythe though, but you know what I'm saying? Like the table really makes a difference. So making sure that you're inviting people and that you're being a good host and that you're also finding people that are going to host you well when you go to play games. And by host, I don't mean necessarily in their home, but even at that convention or at that local gaming group that meets at the library every second Sunday, like that's going to make a huge difference. You might never buy that game because you don't love it, but you might play it again with that group of people if you know that the interactions you're going to have are really valuable.
That's over 50% of gaming for me. Is
me too.
When I play, I lose 70 to 80% of the time that I play. But I'm having fun with my friends, and we're having a good time. And I compete. I could do other things, but I'm not always going to win. I'm not having fun if I win. A lot of times I don't care if I win. I want to distract Matt and make Matt laugh and give him a hard time while we play a game.
Yep.
Or mess with Kent and Courtney and watch them have little marriage arguments, or watch them have psychological conversations without saying a single word.
Yeah, there's that one. Or just sabotage Roy.
Or sabotage Roy. So it's just, it all depends on your game group. And if you're new to gaming, learn who you like, because you may not like that ultra competitive person, or you may want to only play with ultra competitive people. So that's also not a bad thing too, is learn the type of personalities you'll mesh with and you won't mesh with. But people, man, I love playing with people.
Yeah, I mean, that's especially when it comes to competitiveness. You want to make sure that you find somebody who's going to match your level of competitiveness.
Sure.
If you're not competitive at all, that's fine. Find somebody else that's like that. Because if you play with a guy who's just no, we have to do it this way. This is by the rules. We're going to keep score. It's like when I played Just One and Scout today. We didn't keep score. We didn't care. We were just playing a game, play a game. And then when we got done, we were like, yeah, this is great. Same thing with Medium. We just did it for the experience. And then we got done. We went, hey, you want to play something else? Yep. Move on.
Yeah. What's that game with the cards and you have them in reverse order?
Hanabi?
Oh, Hanabi. Yeah.
Playing Hanabi with Rob is
Mind.
hilarious.
The mind.
Or the mind?
Play
The
Rob.
mind. Yeah, Rob and the mind.
Yeah, I don't care about
This
it.
thing. This
I'm gonna
thing.
have fun, and I'm gonna do what I do. Just
When I play Just One with Ruthie and her friends, they're like, all right, who's going obvious? Who's going obvious? I'm like,
Yeah.
we can't say that. And they're like, or somebody's
I
like,
thought it was
I'm doing the J
obvious.
word. No one else do the J. Wait, what?
Yeah. See, I love that though.
we have fun with it, but it is definitely wacky. But yeah,
Oh.
definitely outside the box. But the main thing is we're coming together and having silly times around the table, and that's the part that's important,
That's what matters.
And it's your
Unless
game.
you're
You can do
making
what you
money,
want.
do this. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's not a tournament setting. There's no cash on the line. Just, have fun.
Yeah, it's a rewarding thing. I think it's good for families and it's good for friends, and I think that's the thing to keep in mind, right? Is this enriching the relationships that I have, and am I getting new relationships with it? You might meet a whole pack of weirdos from the internet that you end up stuck with for a long time, right? That could literally happen to you.
All of a sudden, you're invited to cabins in the woods randomly.
Literally.
States away, and you just show up. It was so weird, but it's so awesome.
Getting ready to be pushed in someone's car.
Yeah, if Rob just decided to push Adam out of his car at any point in time, Adam's like, I have no idea.
I think Rob and I built an innate trust for each other that was not really warranted the second we met in real life in Georgia.
Yeah.
The first time we met was at CMON Expo.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where I was like, we met in person and I was instantly like, I trust this guy. It was very, I'm sure our wives were like, who is that guy? I'm like, oh, he's
I knew you for a long
basically,
time.
he's basically like a cousin at this point.
It's like we've talked to each other a couple of times through YouTube chat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, do really be safe. If you meet a giant man in a hotel in Georgia who just hugs you and he sees you, that's not good for everybody.
unless he's named Robert Newman.
Yeah,
There
in
you
which
go.
case he'll be so good looking you'll forget about the danger when his bear paws are around the back of your shoulder blade.
And if he's not good looking, then he's not me. Don't hug him.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You'll be able to tell by the smell of just like leather-bound books and cedar,
Yeah.
and the general good looks. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a ton of different things that we could say could be mistakes to avoid as a new gamer. But I guess one of the things is don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just keep going out there playing games
Exactly.
and trying out new games and just finding new ways to get them to the table and introducing people to stuff and just have a good time with it. I mean, it's a very welcoming and fun hobby, I think, overall. So just get out there and play games.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll never know what you're gonna like till you do it.
Yep. But yeah, awesome stuff. Well, we do want to say thanks to everybody in chat. It's been a blast having everybody join in, and we're going to start to wrap this thing up. Make sure to check out and subscribe.
Especially Sammy Yuseko. Sorry.
Yeah, keep Sam away from your kids. Make sure.
She's
But yeah.
a super sweet person in real life. She is super sweet, and she's a new mom. She's just super protective mom. Don't
Matt's
kill your
face.
kid over her kid. She's very nice. Her and her husband, great people.
But yeah, thanks everybody for checking out the show. Also, make sure to check this out. It is on iTunes and Spotify and all sorts of different places that you can find podcasts. So make sure to check it out and download it there as well, or just tell people about the podcast. We're definitely trying to build this up and continue to do stuff. We're gonna try to be more regular. Sometimes life things come up here and there. We try to make stuff happen. But definitely thanks for tuning in and checking out the podcast and listening to us be crazy with all of our banter there. But yeah. Anyway, this has been the Epic Gaming Night podcast. Thanks everybody for joining in, and I guess we'll see everybody next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye.